Hello everyone, Ogu Emmanuel is my name. If you are new in this channel, you are highly welcomed. I also give a special thanks to all my returning viewers, wherever they are, and my other viewers. You are all welcome at the same time in this video. In Igbo land, the idea of sharing the same kind of power with our women, it's not something that a typical Igbo man would like to stomach. It's not something that we easily love to accept as Igbo people. Igbos are known not to drag or share anything about power with our women. But in this very case, it is different. It's not the same thing. So, do you know there was a time in Igbo history? Do you know that there was a time a woman was once a king? There was a time a woman became king. A woman was made a king in Igbo land. Do you know, if you watch this exciting and revealing video till the end, it's a promise, you will be able to know who, why, where, and how she manages to become a king in Igbo land. A place where it is a taboo for a woman to be one. You can only find it in this video titled "The Only and the Most Powerful Igbo Female King." After this intro. You know, a lot of Igbo people are not even aware of this once powerful female king in Igbo land named Ahebi Ubabe. That was her name. This woman made a glorious history as the only female complete king in Igbo land during the colonial period. That was when it happened. You know, she was born in the late 19th century in Enugu Ezike, a community that is made up of 36 villages. You know, with the present day population, you can say that they're up to a quarter of a million. Her father was a palm wine tapper and a farmer named Ubabe Ayibi, and her mother Adeku Ame. You know, she's a trader and a farmer also in Omoida, Enugu Ezike. She had two brothers. Ahebi is a very beautiful, I must tell you, she's a very beautiful damsel. A little angel with a stern look. Very serious business look. You know, she was said to be too beautiful that even the gods were carried away when they saw her. Even the gods were even threatened by her beauty. Could you imagine that? You know, she was a paragon of beauty. She lived in her maternal home in Unadu, you know, for some time before going back to Umueda. That was where she lived. So, after the time she returned back, she never stayed long before running away to Egala land. She ran away because she didn't want to be married off to a female deity. She didn't want to be married off to that deity. So she ran away. And that was a punishment for her father's atrocities. The father committed a lot of things. The man had his hands in so many mischievous pies. So that was why the deity needed the little girl. So the name they gave the punishment, that is the punishment about what the father committed, was called in their language there Egomogo, which means to become the in-law of a deity. You become the in-law of a deity. So her family went through hard times, and when she was about 13 going to 14 years of age, their family income was, it was not good to write home about. I must tell you. So there was this infestation of illnesses here and there. Their business was also not moving fine. Things was very difficult. So there was a time her father went to see a diviner. All these seers and all these native doctors them. So someone in those days that is seen as one who knows everything. In Igbo language, you say, a kind of people who saw tomorrow. So it is said that even the goddess herself trembled at the sight of this little Aebi when they saw her, because of her beauty. So the goddess beauty cannot even be compared to the natural charm and the bodily, aesthetics of this young girl called Aebi. So this diviner told her father that all those misfortunes and calamities they went through was as a result of the crimes he committed. He knew. So later, the man decided to hand over Aebi to the shrine of the goddess of Ohue in exchange, in exchange for success. Let me put it that way. So that he can be able to provide for his family. Things were very difficult. But after all this, it remains that Aebi was nowhere to be found. The young girl just vanished. So she took the decision of going into a forced exile. And probably it was said that she took her mother's trade route. Those areas, those streets, those communities where the mother used to go when she wants to go and sell her farm produce or products. So that was the route she took. So, and the journey was a very long one. She made it 3 days on foot, from Enugu Ezike to Egala land. People, somehow they suspected her mother is aware of this young lady's move. So when she arrived with little or no experience in the land, she, as someone who is new in an environment, so she made the best use of the only thing she came with, the only thing she had, which was her irresistible beauty. She's a walking temptation to the male folks. She's just a threat to the male folks. Let me put it that way. Because of her beauty. So it was said that no son of man could be able to resist this special and succulent pair of mammalian glands dangling before Ahebi's chest. So every man with a walking and dangling things between his thighs fell for her beauty, her charismatic presence. It even made the kings from distant land travel to come. They traveled. They came to see her just to get a taste of her beauty. So, with situation like this, the idea of commercializing, that thing between her thighs was not far-fetched, and prostitution was her best next alternative for survival. Man go live now, man must chop, man must work. As it used to be said in the street. So Ahebi went into the business of commercial sex work. Although she converted the style of the work, as an opportunity for her to align herself with powerful men, such as the ruler of Egala, Ata Egala, and the colonial British officials who found the growing young lady, irresistible. Even the king, Ata Egala, became her friend too. So in the process, and all the, combining with all the experiences she gathered as a well-traveled person, she had the advantage of learning. She spoke many languages like Nupe, Egala, Pidgin English. Her experiences, successes, and independence is what helped her to repackage her profession, that is sex work. So she did it in her, she did the conversion in her culture and tradition. So she made it in a way that it became it made her to come out of forced slavery to a voluntary occupation. So her job as a sex worker and also her language skills gave her an immediate access to the king of Egala, Ata Egala, and the British colonial, the British divisional officer. So they are the one that made it possible for her to return to Enugu Ezike. So he also supported her claims to the office of the headman. They helped her to organize that office, and also a warrant chief, and later the Eze, that is the king of the land. So her reign as king. So the time of Ahebi's reign was when, a few months after she returned to Igbo land from exile. She went into exile. So in the early 20th century was a time of British forceful entrance, a kind of incursion into the land, into Igbo land. And Ahebi converted this situation into an opportunity to benefit by leading the British forces into Enugu Ezike. She's the one that took the British forces into Enugu Ezike. So Enugu Ezike, that was the land of her birth. Ahebi was opportuned to be the only person in her entire village. She's the only person who is able to communicate with the British people. She could speak their language. So, as a reward for her, for her support and services, the British invaders installed her as a king. They made her King Ahebi Amahen Ayebi in Enugu State, in Enugu Ezike. He replaced the aged and increasingly incompetent headman who was there before, called, what was that his name? Ugu Okegu. That was his name. The man couldn't live up to the standard and expectation of the British colonial masters. So they removed the man. Because the man had the language and the communication problems with the British, considering, yes, with the British. So considering the Ahebi's efficiency and continuous loyalty to the British, what happened? She was promoted to the rank of warrant chief, something that has never taken place before. Nobody has ever done that before in Igbo land, even during that colonial time. So she was promoted to rank of a warrant chief. Nobody has tried that kind of something. So it's a kind of level of achievement that was not even in accordance to the British policy on female political exclusion in the then colonial Nigeria. So the British district officer, W.H. Lloyd, the comments he made about Ahebi, he said that Ahebi was a lady of influence and power. She was intelligent and of a quiet disposition, and that when she does speak, it was usually to the point and sensible. So Ahebi Ubabe became the king of Enugu Ezike with the support of Ata, the king of Egala, whose power and influence extends up to the northern Igbo territory. She disorganized the gender politics in her culture. She carries out the functions of male jobs in the body of a female gender. That lady she was too smart. And at the same time, she surpassed all the male political hierarchy and authorities that was existing then. Ahebi commanded the respect of all her people. She at the same time planted the seed of resentment by conscripting first and imposing a census, even a British tax in Igbo land. She was the one that made it possible. She initiated it. Collecting British tax in Igbo land. The tradition and the culture of the Igbos does not even allow people to be counted. But census was in the offing. She also made it possible. They started counting Igbos just to know the kind of bill that they would give them. So it was this census and other things that caused the women's war in the southern Nigeria then. Don't worry, one day I will tell you about that Igbo women's war. So Ahebi was able to quell whatever resistance that existed to her kingship. She was desperate to attack or remove everything or anything that was standing on her way to this kingship. So she has been targeting it for a very long time. So because of her British backing, Ahabi herself made a lot of wealth and power for herself. So, but unfortunately, she fell from grace when, to the extent of her multiple gender and power, became too much for her community, because she was fond of struggling, looking for a way to achieve this her kingship ambition. So she became power drunk and over ambitious for the people's liking. People became, at the time, they became tired of her and her power drunkenness. So when she attempted to assume full manhood by introducing her own masquerade, a deed performed only by men, fully initiated into the masquerade cults, she made serious resistance from her people, which she never recovered from, because she touched the tail of the tiger. So this ritual, this ritual was supposed to be for men only. So the male elders and Ahabi went to court to settle this particular case, this issue. But unfortunately for her, the British supported the male elders, undermining Ahabi's rule. So Ahabi Ubabe cultivated an aura of mysticism she wanted to use it to solidify an image of an all-powerful king or ruler. So she used the pre-colonial traditions to push this mysticism and therefore gain power. She leaned on the power of these British colonialists and the power of mysticism. So she used it to gain more power. She also used this to augment her gender, to effectively, at the same time, make herself king. So one other way Ahabi asserted herself as a man was when she, at the same time, collected many wives. Most of the women were runaways from, people who run away from an abusive husbands. She also had many servants who would help her, run things. So these wives would bear her children to continue her name. She desperately needed children that would continue her name. So before Ahabi died, she performed her own burial rites, because she didn't trust that her society, her people would have called her a befitting burial. Her intention was to perform the rite in such a magnificent manner that her society would never forget that an incredible being such as Ahabi had lived. So her living funeral, it was called her living funeral because it took place while she was alive. So her living funeral included gunfire, animal sacrifices, and the music of remembrance, as they used to do it in those days. She later died in 1948. Although she was a woman, she was buried according to the customs and traditions for burying men in those days. So regardless of her fears of not being properly commemorated, she is worshipped today as a goddess in her mother's hometown, and she is mentioned in numerous Enugu Ezike songs and parables. So it is already established in the history of Igbo that there was once a time a female king emerged in Igbo land. Although she ruled with the help of the Ata, Egala, and the British colonial masters, but she was once a king. Please, if you don't mind, go to the comment section of this video. Tell us what you think so that we can make a better one for you next time. Please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click like on my Facebook page. Ring the notification bell and do not forget to share this video. It helps the algorithm. I hope you people will be expecting me in another video. I will come. Don't worry. Bye bye. All right.